Mr. Investor, welcome back to the channel, baby. So a lot of people shouting diamond hands, some other people shouting paper hands, but me, I want to show you exactly what some of the big institutions are doing at this moment in time. Always remember, this is not financial advice. I can't tell you to buy a stock, I can't tell you to sell a stock, I can't even tell you to hold a stock. But today I'm going to be talking about what Cathie Woods is doing, and I've been watching carefully to see what the purchases are and what they do during corrections in the market. If you're new around here, welcome. My name is Miguel. I look for the biggest juiciest growth stocks. And today, while the retail investors have been panicking, let's take a look at what ARK has been doing in terms of buying and selling stock. First, we have Coinbase being covered all over the news. People are going wild. BBC is reporting that crypto firm Coinbase is valued more than the oil giant BP at nearly $100 billion. So right now, as you may know, some of you may have bought Coinbase when it IPO'd, and it quickly rose to $429, and then since it's been, sliding. But what happened during that IPO day? Well, according to CNN Business, Cathie Woods ARK funds bought a big stake in Coinbase. So guys, I use this website called Lucid Tracking. You can see here Lucid. I use this to look at ARKinvest buys, sells. I want to see their aggregates, the ranking, what their most purchased stocks are, what is their highest conviction stocks. If you want to use it, look at the link in my description box below. You can get the premium feature, which is what I use. Here on the front page, if you look at the summary, you can see the top bought. You can see Coinbase is there, and the latest ads, you can see coin. And they bought this for 3 separate ETFs. So if we go inside the latest ads, we will be able to see an overall snapshot, and if we break it down into ARK Innovation, you can see they added 512,500 shares. That was $168 million worth they bought on that IPO date. And if we go to ARKW, their internet portfolio, you can see here they bought 147,000 shares, another 48 million there. And for the ARK FinTech Innovation portfolio, another 29 million there. Another great feature is when you go to the main page, if you go to aggregate, this page will pop up and you'll be able to see what have they been buying the most of, how much have they spent so much money on. And the aggregates for April 14th, 2021, Coinbase was the most bought that day. Overall, it was $245 million worth, nearly $246 million worth of shares. That's 749,000 shares in Coinbase. And if we scroll across, we can see here the exact closing price on that day. So that was $328.28. Right now, it's $331 US. So for ARK to actually invest $246 million worth, they must see some potential of what Coinbase can grow into. You can see some of the other companies they've been buying recently on that day. You can see Exact Sciences, Square Inc., Teladoc, Roku. But all the sums of money, are around $25 million and in the $10 million, $17 or $15 million. This is actually a big juicy buy. So they must see this as a nice price point for them to enter. Some of you guys also follow Nano Dimension. And as you guys know, let's type it up here. Nano Dimension has actually been bought by ARK. They actually bought another 600,000 shares. So they spent $3.4 million on April 12th, $5.2 million on April 13th. And the closing price points on these days was $7.30. It was roundabout bouncing between $7 and $8. Today, we actually saw Nano Dimension touch into the 6s briefly. So it went under $7. Do you think they'll buy, another few 100,000 shares worth of Nano Dimension? While a lot of retail investors are panicking, if you follow what big money and smart money is doing, they're making entry points and they're actually averaging down into these stocks. And if we don't see purchase behavior, it's probably because they want a certain weight in their portfolio. They want it to fluctuate between 1.6 to 1.8%. So now that it's reached 1.8%, which is still a good amount, it does show some conviction. And remember, we were saying, Tesla is one of their highest conviction stocks. It was 11% the other day. So let's go and see what they done with Tesla. I told you, baby, I knew they were going to do it. It was 11.6%, as you could see there, and they decided they needed to trim that. This is because of risk. So they sold $107 million worth of Tesla, which is barely anything, because they still have $2.7 billion worth in the ARK Innovation ETF, and they just brought down the weight of it. So they don't want it to be overweight, because I think they have the rule where it has to be under 10%. 10% is the maximum for any stock. This is basically to risk manage. And if we go above here, let's look at ARKW. They done the same there. They also had it about 11.5% and they trimmed it. They sold 40 million worth of Tesla. So sometimes you have to look at the data. You have to take a look and see what is big smart money doing and why are they doing it. This was one thing I found very interesting. I saw them recently exit a position and I couldn't really understand why. So maybe you guys could figure it out. Maybe you drop me some comments to let me know. So let's search up at the top. Let's look at Adobe. So this is going to be interesting. You can see here it was in their ARKW Internet ETF. They completely exited this stock. And if we want to look at their behavior, they exited fully on April 8th, 2021. It was their last $16 million worth of shares. And if we scroll down to the bottom, we can see here that they actually had, almost 93 million. They almost had $100 million worth in February 16th, 2021. And the first big sale that I saw was actually this $65 million sale right here. And that was actually March 29th when the stock was roughly roughly about $469. So now that it reached $504, you know, $510, does ARK think that, you know, Adobe is overvalued at this point of time? Why did they completely sell out of it? Especially when we look at the recent, you know, revenues and all of the figures that came out. So we're on Adobe's page over there. So on Tuesday, March 23rd, 2021, they were showing their revenues. The company actually achieved record quarterly revenue across Creative Cloud, Document Cloud, and Experience Cloud. So if we take a look at these financial highlights, Adobe achieved record quarterly revenue of $3.9 billion in its first quarter of fiscal year 2021, which represents a 26% year-over-year growth. Their digital segment revenue was actually $2.6 billion, which represents a 32% year-over-year growth. Their creative revenue was up by 31% year-over-year. Cloud revenue was up $480 million, which is 37% year-over-year. It seems like all of their revenues were growing. So ARK Invest completely exited out of Adobe with their ARK W folder, and Adobe since has still gone up roughly now, you know, $523. And on April 8th, 2021, you can see here the last amount they sold, $16 million. They sold it for under $500. So also, guys, I had to show you this. So tip ranks, Adobe, 18 analysts are rating it as a strong buy, 2 are saying hold, 0 are saying sell. Kathy's just exited it completely. So they have an estimate of around about $560 as an average, and this is projecting, you know, a high of $610 and a low of $500. Another interesting drop I saw was actually PayPal. So they've been selling off a lot of PayPal recently. So if we check this feature here on Lucid Tracking, ads and drops, let's click on PayPal, and you are going to be shocked with this one in their ARK Innovation portfolio. Look how much they've sold. So on February 16th, 2021, you can see there they had $650 million worth. Ever since March the 4th, they sold $216 million. You can see they sold another $40 million March 8th, another $58 million March 9th. Then the next big sales I saw was March 24th, $45 million, $73 million, $43 million, and eventually today they own none. They completely exited. But I want to take a look at ARK W as well. Have they exited? No, they've still got $144 million worth. In ARK F, they've still got $187 million worth for actually selling $657 million worth of shares, and that is out of their main ETF. It looks like they must prefer Square Inc. So let's take a look at this. Let's see if they've actually been increasing their ownership of Square. So during the time they were selling, they actually started to buy more Square Inc., including $47 million here, $26 million there, $58 million over there, all throughout February and March. And in terms of the weight, this is the best way to tell. We have 5% worth of Square Inc. in ARKK. That was back in February 17th, 2021. And let's go all the way up now. They have 6.8% of their portfolio in Square Inc. That's for ARK Innovation. If we look at ARK W, they've got 6% in there as well. And ARK F, they've got 11%. So it's actually overweight in this portfolio. They might start trimming it. And if we look at factors over at the top, you can see who it's also held by. So what institutions, what investors. Tiger Global Management owns $105 million worth. So down here, the CFO actually sold some on April 9th, just $860,000 worth. The Cash App lead also sold some on 8/9th. This is $4 million worth. Probably just taking, you know, a little bit of money to pay themselves. Jack Dorsey also sold a little chunk there, $23 million worth, 100,000 shares, but that guy owns millions of shares. This I also find interesting, looking at unusual options activity in the market. So you can see what date it actually expires. So people have set calls April 16th, and this is for like strike prices of $267, $275, and there are some sizable chunks and volume there. If you go up to the rankings as well, this is quite interesting. You'll see the total change in rank, so how much money they have invested. You can see Tesla is number 1 with $3.8 billion worth, Square $2.6 billion, then it's Teladoc, Roku. Every time they invest and it changes weight in a portfolio, you know, the rank will flip it around, and you'll be able to see who are the big movers and how much conviction they have in certain stocks. As we can see, PayPal has been falling for a while. It's dropped 5 places in rank because they completely sold out of it in their ARK Innovation ETF. So guys, tell me what you're doing in the market. I want to know what you're up to. Are you buying stock as the market comes crashing down? Are you dollar cost averaging, bringing your averages down? Do you already have great positions built up and you're just sitting on your hands? Let me know what you're doing, and tell me if you find this useful, looking at ARK Invest and the way they behave and the way they're moving money around. If you're able to support my channel, please click join channel memberships above my head. It's only 99 cents. And if you want to sign up to Lucid Tracking, use the link in my description box below. I really recommend it because it helps me like find data and actually analyze it and try and figure out what is going on in the market, what big money is doing, what smart money is doing, and why they are doing it. Overall, I wish you a lovely day. And none of this is financial advice, for entertainment only. And if you're unable to join channel memberships, just you hitting like and clicking subscribe on this video means the world to me. Thank you so much. Drop me some comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Mr. Invest a Lot, over and out, baby.